Yo, what is going on, you delusional Delphox? Today we're taking a look at all of the fully revealed cards coming out in the Start Deck 100 Battle Collection decks over in Japan on December 19th. And these cards will be part of our Ascended Heroes set that comes out on January 30th. I'm pretty confident January 30th. So let's jump right into it. Starting off with the Erica's Vileplume line here. The Oddish, 60 HP, so notable. Ken Buddy Poffenfort, also 30 damage. Which I say this a lot, but that can KO Badoo. And then we got the Erica's Gloom, 90 HP for a grass and a colorless, 50 damage. Your opponent's active is now poison. Nothing crazy, obviously. And then we get to Erica's Vileplume here, which is also nothing crazy. 310 HP. Of course, we got to keep Force of Vitality in mind when thinking about any grass Pokemon, any grass evolution Pokemon. The ability, once on your turn, you may heal 30 damage from each of your Pokemon, and it isn't limited to just one ability activation on your turn. So you could have 4 Erica's Vileplume EXs set up and use all of their abilities during your turn and heal 120 damage from each of your Pokemon. But if your opponent's just trying to 2-hit KO one of your Pokemon, I don't think healing 120 damage will be enough to protect from your opponent getting KOs. And then for 2 grass and a colorless, Powder Bloom, 160. Your opponent's active is now poisoned and asleep. So there might be something here in terms of some kind of like wall heal deck. Probably not. But, you know, I kind of want to be hopeful here. I said if you get 4 of these set up, if you put some air balloons on them, you can leave like 1 in the active. Your opponent hits that Vileplume, then you retreat that Vileplume to another Vileplume. You use all the abilities, so you heal 120. Then they hit the new active Vileplume. That one gets an air balloon. That one retreats to a new Vileplume. You kind of just like run around between Vileplumes, healing 120 damage every turn. Or maybe get something involved like some Cornerstones or Mimikyus. Something like that. Pokemon that it's hard for your opponent to one-hit KO. And then they punch it for some damage to set up for a 2-hit KO, and then you kind of get disruptive with the healing ability of the Erica's Vileplume EX. Overall, I don't think it's going to be competitive, but maybe some kind of cool meme wall heal deck could come out of the Erica's Vileplume. Moving along, we do have the Erica's Victory Bell, which honestly, there might be something here. Possibly. I feel like maybe we're missing like a piece for grass Pokemon in general. That would make this good, or just like other grass Pokemon good as well. But Erica's Victory Bell, it's got that mysterious Rondo attack for a grass and a colorless, 40 damage times the number of Erica's Pokemon you have in play. And that's like okay. The real power for the Erica's Pokemon honestly comes from this Erica's Tangela, which says you can use this ability once in your turn, and then you search your deck for an Erica's Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That is an insanely powerful ability, just like absurd ability. So you could like Erica's Tangela for a Tangela, use that Tangela's ability to go get another Pokemon. The next turn you get 2 more Pokemon. The turn after that you get 2 more Pokemon. So like chaining Erica's Victory Bells is going to be pretty easy. Now it only does 40 damage for each Erica's Pokemon you have in play, of course. So it does limit it to a maximum of 240 damage. If we only have 5 bench Pokemon, we could get Area 0 involved. But of course, we'd have to play a Terra Pokemon, which is not an Erica's Pokemon, to enhance our bench size. So we're only getting like +2 out of that. So then we're looking at, what, 320 damage, which is a nice number to be hidden. I don't know, maybe there's something there with like Erica's Victory Bell plus Grass Ogerpon to be the energy acceleration. Then we E-switch off the Grass Ogerpon to fulfill the energy cost for the Victory Bell. But we could also just run a Meganium line in here instead. So it could be Erica's Victory Bell plus Tangela plus Meganium and no Area 0. So there's a couple different ways you could play the Victory Bell, but the powerhouse card here is definitely the Tangela, and that's going to be what really gives this deck a shot. And we might just be a little bit short on just grass support. I know we have Force of Vitality, and that's a pretty good card, but maybe we're just like one more grass support card away from being where we need to be. Up next, we do have got a Chikorita here, 70 HP. Attack is kind of whatever for grass energy during your opponent's next turn. Any damage done by attacks from the defending Pokemon is reduced by 20. I guess that's actually relevant for like Solrock and Fanrotom, to be honest. They can't KO Chikorita. The Bayleaf here, 100 HP, Grass for 60. And then we got the Mega Meganium EX, which is actually pretty good, 360 HP. Of course, we do have the other Meganium in format as well, so it'd be pretty easy to slot this into any Meganium deck. And the attack, of course, synergizes pretty well with the other Meganium. For 3 grass energy, it does 70 damage plus 50 more damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. So if you just attach 2 basic grass energy to Mega Meganium EX and you have the other Meganium in play, so it multiplies the energy by 2, so we have 4 grass energy attached to us, we're hitting for 270 damage. A 3rd grass energy, we're hitting for 370 damage. For only 3 grass energy, that's not terrible. It's pretty beefy as well, 360 HP. Maybe just like a solo Meganium deck with like Ogerpons and E-switches could be the route of a competitive grass deck, but this definitely adds a lot of potential to grass decks for sure in the form of the Mega Meganium EX. I've already taken a look at the Charizard, but I'll do it again here. We're getting a Charmander. We're actually just getting like weaker Charmanders and Charmeleons. We just got an 80 HP Charmander with an ability that says it has free retreat if it has no energy attached to it. And the Charmeleon, the other Charmeleon we have, has 110 HP, and for a single fire energy, does 40 damage instead of a fire and a colorless for 50. So, I mean, these are just like straight up downgrades, I feel like, from the other Charmander and Charmeleon we just got. But Mega Charizard YEX is going to be a potential powerful inclusion in those Charizard decks. It will release before rotation hits, so we will be able to play this alongside Charizard EX. Fire, colorless, explosion Y, discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 280 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. A lot of damage, especially in the form of a snipe attack. And you can hit the active as well. With a maximum belt, this would KO Charizard EX or... I mean, Charizard EX or Dragapult EX, as long as they're in the active, of course, because, well, those are Terra Pokemon on top of them. On top of the maximum belt, only doing damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this thing still hits hard in the active, as well as being able to hit hard on the bench. Overall, just a really powerful attack. Of course, it is a stage 2. It is a Mega, so it's worth 3 prize cards. And getting that many fire energy on it could be a little bit tough. Up next, we've got the Emboar here. We've got Tepig here, 80 HP. And then we got a Pignite as well. Fire, color, 70 damage. Your opponent's active is now burned. I'm actually not sure if these are better than the other Tepig and Pignite, excuse me, that we just got recently. When we got the Emboar with like the Rain Dance ability. But now we have a Mega Emboar similar to the Meganium, a new stage 2 Pokemon to go alongside the previous Energy Acceleration stage 2. And honestly, I don't think this is terrible. It feels like a Firebox style deck is starting to come together a little bit. It does have 380 HP, which is a lot, but its attack kind of makes up for its the attack makes up for its a massive amount of HP. The Crimson Blast for 2 fire and a colorless says we do 320 damage. KO's Dragapult. Doesn't quite KO Charizard EX or any other Megas, but a maximum belt fixes that. And this Pokemon also does 60 damage to itself. So the 380 HP definitely doesn't seem as good once you realize you hit yourself for 60 damage. But still, some kind of Firebox style deck through the Emboar that accelerates fire energy in play. And this being just kind of another piece to the puzzle, we could eventually see something like that be competitive. Up next, we got Mega Fraligator, Totodile, 80 HP, can't buddy pop him for that. And then we got the Crocodile here, 100 HP, 2 Water Crunch, 50 damage, flip a coin of heads, discard 1 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Then we got the Mega Fraligator EX, which I actually don't hate. There's a couple things awkward about its attack, though. So it's got 370 HP. The attack Killer Crunch for Water Colorless does 200 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 200 more damage. The two awkward things for the Mega Fraligator EX is the energy required for the attack is a lot. And then that extra damage we need to get on our opponent's Pokemon is also kind of awkward. Now, Monkey Dory is still going to be in the format. This does release before rotation, so we'll have Baxcalibur potentially for energy acceleration. But after rotation hits and we lose Baxcalibur, I don't see how you're getting 3 energy on this thing conveniently enough to actually be able to pull off consistent attacks with it before our opponent can deal with it and kind of reset us to 0 energy in play. So I don't have really high hopes for the Mega Fraligator, especially past rotation. Pre-rotation, Excalibur, Monkey Dory maybe, but even then that's 2 stage 2s, a lot going on. But it's possible. Being able to 1-hit KO your opponent's active basically no matter what it is pretty good, especially in a format where we have these bigger Mega stage 2 Pokemon that have, you know, close to 400 HP. The Fraligator here has 370 HP, so being able to hit those kind of numbers is not a bad thing. Got the Regice EX here. This is pretty weak Pokemon. I'll go over it real quickly. A colorless energy attached with 2 basic water energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Water triple colorless, 140. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Your opponent's active is now paralyzed. Maybe in some kind of Excalibur deck, this could see some play, but obviously kind of on its own, it's pretty lackluster. Maybe there's room for it to be some kind of weird tech card inclusion in decks that, I mean, how are you going to get 4 energy on this thing, though? I don't even know. That's just too many. There's just too many energy. Too much energy. We move on. We're going to skip the Voltorb. I'm going to skip the Miraidon as well here. And we're going to move on to the Azumarill EX. Once again, has some meme potential, I think. 270 HP. Bubble Bundle. As often as you like during your turn, you may move an energy from one of your Pokemon to this Pokemon. And then for colorless, 60 damage. Its attack does 40 more damage for each psychic energy attached to this Pokemon. So getting psychic energy in play. We got Wonder Dispatch. We got Xatu. We got some ways to do it. Gardevoir, I think, has better options. Obviously, you could play this with Gardevoir EX before Gardevoir EX rotates, but I don't think Gardevoir is really lacking one-hit KO potential. So I think we'd want to go another route with the Azumarill EX to maximize its potential. Xatu, Wondrous Patch, stuff like that. Moving right along here. Got the Stunfisk EX. Honestly, this card just annoys me that it exists. Basic EX Pokemon, 210 HP, Big Bite for a fighting, 30 damage. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. How many more corner Pokemon do we need? The answer is no more. We're done. We don't need any more. And this one is different. And that's kind of like the almost scary thing. Well, not scary thing, annoying thing. Is this one's got 210 HP. So things that Sudowoodo and Maractus and Yveltal couldn't quite take advantage of because of their low HP. Well, now you have Stunfisk EX with its Big Bite to to be able to be more annoying. It just feels like we have enough. I don't know why we need more retreat lock Pokemon. Maybe to keep people honest. Gotta play your Switch cards, gotta play your Turos, your Petron EXs, and so on and so forth. And then it's got the Soggy Trap, of course, for fighting double calls. 100 damage if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it. This attack does 100 more damage. Got the Carbink here. While this Pokemon is in play, it is both fighting and psychic type. And then for 2 fighting and colorless, Counter Jewel, 70 damage. If your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining, this attack does 100 more damage. So I could see this being good in a fighting deck that has enough fighting energy acceleration and needs to be able to KO Pokemon that are weak to psychic. I don't think any of those things are true right now. There's not a good fighting deck with enough fighting energy acceleration that needs to be able to KO a Pokemon in the late game that's weak to psychic. None of those things are true right now, but don't forget about Carbink. You never know when when that criteria will be met. And we go right along here to Larry's the Dunsparce. Honestly, I had such high hopes for the owner's Pokemon in these Start Deck 100 decks, and I was really let down overall. I was expecting quite a bit more. And especially after we saw Zekrom, like I thought I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna buff all of the owner's Pokemon with new stuff. And then I heard about Larry's. Larry was gonna get involved. And honestly though, I'm kind of hyped for the Larry stuff here. It probably won't be competitive. At first I read it and I thought, oh, maybe there is something here. But Larry's Dunsparce EX for triple colorless energy, work rush, flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 80 damage for each head. So pretty underwhelming attack, especially on a stage 2 Pokemon that only has 270 HP. But we're going to move along here quickly to Larry's Komala, which is once in your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may attach an energy card from your hand to your active Larry's Pokemon. That is crazy efficient energy acceleration. Basic Pokemon with an ability. Absurd. Let's just get that out of the way. But of course, if the only thing you're going to be attacking with is the Dunsparce, is it good enough? Now, we do have Ignition Energy in the format, and unless Komala is mistranslated here, Komala can accelerate any kind of energy to your active Larry's Pokemon, which means you could accelerate stuff like Ignition Energy. So you could like double Ignition Energy in a turn and then flip a lot of coins and hope that you don't get too many tails. But still, I don't know. That's like, you can get a lot of energy in play really, really fast with the Komalas. So there might be some potential there. You're flipping a lot of coins, obviously, for the Dunsparce EX's attack, so that doesn't feel good. But there's a lot of other Dunsparce currently in the format. Oh, wait. Those don't work. I was going to say we could like evolve to the draw to Dunsparce, but this is Larry's the Dunsparce, or Larry's Dunsparce. Larry's Dunsparce cannot evolve into the Dunsparce or Dunsparce EX. So scratch that idea. 4/4 Larry's the Dunsparce. And I guess we're just going in with that. And we only have Ignition Energy, I think, for like super cool, interesting special energy to work with. There's like a lack of special energy, but maybe at some point in the future, if enough other special energy come out, we could see some crazy possibilities for the Larry's the Dunsparce, unless the Komala is mistranslated, which also wouldn't surprise me, and it's maybe supposed to say basic energy, but it'd be pretty cool if it is special energy. All right, keep going here. Pokepad, I've talked about it before. Insanely powerful card. Search your deck for a Pokemon without a rule box, reveal it and put your hand, then shuffle your deck. That's pretty good. We got the Waitress here. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. Choose a basic energy you find there and attach it to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle the remaining cards back into your deck. So we've seen this before in item form in Max Elixir, and Electric Generator currently in format is kind of similar. Of course, it's only for lightning energy. It sees the top 5, but it can attach 2 energy. I don't actually think this card is terrible. It's pretty niche. But I think we'll probably see some play in the future. Obviously, Crispin comes to mind as being like, why would you play this when you could play Crispin? And Honestly, I don't have a great argument against that besides Crispin rotates before this card does, so maybe this will be good after Crispin rotates. That's kind of all I have for right now, but I could see you wanting to play like mono energy in a deck, only one type of energy, and not wanting to run Crispin because of that, and then this might fit in, especially if you have like a deck where you can easily access supporters out of your deck with like a quick search or something like that. Obviously, Pidgeot rotates with rotation, so it'll have to be something else after rotation hits, so there's that. And then Boss's Orders got reprinted, but we already knew this is a new artwork. We already knew Boss's Orders is going to be around for 3 more years. And then Urbane, draw 3 cards. Pretty sick. So nothing too crazy, honestly, from the Start Deck 100s. And we basically know everything that came out of... Well, we know everything that came out of Mega Dream at this point as well. So I think our January set is going to be a little bit underwhelming overall. Not going to lie. I think we're going to have to wait for rotation and the rotation set for that big mix-up, big change-up. So yeah, things are going to be a little bit already known, a little bit standardized. A lot of Gardevoir still for the next 3-4 months. It's like 3 months. It's like 3.5 months. But let me know what you think about the new cards in the comment section down below. I think there's a lot of meme potential in the January set, Ascended Heroes. Ascended Heroes, I think there's going to be a lot of meme potential between Mega Dream and these cards. Let me know what you're most excited for, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.